And you could see that in 2009, the Sri Lankan army made several advances against the spent force of the LTTE. The LTTE were forced into coastal strip of land, and with them 300,000 civilians were forced into an area surrounded by oncoming army. After initial pressure, 48-hour curfew corridor was provided for civilians, but the LTTE was accused of refusing to let civilians leave, and the army was accused of forcing the released civilians into detention camps. And you could see at the combat area reduces, the daily average shows an increase in the number of people killed from 33 to 63 and slight decrease in the number of injured. According to the UN, this was due to the increased population density, use of heavy weapons, which continued to strike the no-fire zone, and inadequate medical treatment. And the price of victory. And in the process of achieving military victory, several humanitarian conventions specifically applicable to conflict were breached by both sides. And you could see the use of civilians as human shields, refusal to provide safe corridor, knowing aerial bombardment of civilian populations, bombing hospitals, withholding medical aid, inadequate food aid, and refused to permit international monitoring. I will highlight a couple of things. This is the camps or people forced into 300,000 people. And subsequently, you could see this is, in fact, I think United States US aerial pictures of the civilian, different aerial bombardment, and these are makeshift hospitals, and this is the evidence of using heavy weapons, and I guess there's a rocket propeller which has been used. And according to one of the eyewitness account, she wrote saying, "We were using ripped up saris to dress the wounds and diluted the anesthetic with water. We hardly had any medication at all, and we came to a point where we had to leave the hospital we leave the people to die." And you could see the World Health Food Program vehicles were damaged during the bombing, and for example, 30 metric tons that reach the conflict zone are only adequate to meet the needs of 60,000 people, but there were about 300,000 people were there. And there's no guarantee for even the food supply to the people in the camps. And now 300,000 people are forced into these internment camps. That includes about 13,000 suspected LTT cadres, and the ICRC have no access, and they have been denied access to medical aid or any legal representations. These are the camps, and you could see the overflowing of water and poor sanitary conditions. Right. Coming back to, I think that though the groups such as Amnesty International are lobbying for the freedom of movement, essential humanitarian services, and international monitoring, there has been little progress, and this is another example where collaboration could help. The international community responded in a number of ways, and the conflict in Sri Lanka was brought to the attention of the global audience. I'm skipping some of the slides, sorry. By various public protest, media, and so on, but nothing happened. Unfortunately, one of these actions led to the strong official outcome Amnesty called for a debate in the Security Council, but nothing happened. There's not one formal discussion held by the United Nations Security Council, and in fact, Human Rights Council passed a resolution to congratulate the Sri Lankan army on its victory, and with no allusion to the breaches of humanitarian law or the situation facing thousands of displaced persons. This may be seen as an example of the United Nations Security Council selectivity. This so-called selective security has already been described in several past situations. For example, United Nations failed to act upon the following existing resolutions as called upon by Bishop Desmond Tutu. And they appealed to the United Nations to act on this resolution, but nothing happened. And now in terms of humanitarian actors, though there would have been close collaboration on the ground between the international NGOs, this cooperation did not translate from the local level up to the organization level, possibly because the various non-state actors did not act collectively at a higher level. They did invoke response to protect. They did not. Or uphold sphere project guideline and the ICRC code of conduct for complex disasters. And the world medical bodies, for example, world medical associations or WHO did not respond to the crisis. I skipped some of the things, but in this talk we have seen how despite years of principles and conventions and charters, international community continues to witness human rights abuses. There are a number of factors that led to the tragedy seen in Sri Lanka, including the complexity of an internal and prolonged conflict, the vested interests of the permanent members of and other members of the UN, regional politics, and lack of strong collaboration among the many humanitarian actors. Nevertheless, the role of the international community is an important one, foremost in ensuring humanitarian principles are upheld, and non-state actors, for example, Amnesty International, ICRC, and the MSF have been and continue to be the lifeline and voice of the Tamils in northeast Sri Lanka and across the world. What happened in Sri Lanka is a sobering story, but unfortunately, reality that we cannot be sure will not repeat itself. To conclude, I would like to repeat the words of former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan in the preface to War and Health from 1988. He said, "So when we recall tragic events such as those of Bosnia and Rwanda and ask why did not someone intervene, the question should be addressed not only to the United Nations or even to its member states. Each of us as an individual has to take his or her share of responsibility. No one can claim ignorance of what happened. All of us should recall how we responded and ask, why did I do? Could I have done more? Did I let my prejudice, my indifference, or my fear overwhelm my reasoning? Above all, how would I react next time? Next time may already be here." Thank you. Sorry,